Have you seen Julie, a movie with Meryl Streep? If not, watch it. It's a good food movie. So you know that scene where she's chopping a mountain of onions to practice her knife skills? Today, I'll show you how you too can be Julia.
Bonjour!
Minus all the tears. The theory and practice of claw grip. So why do we use a claw grip when we chop? Two reasons: to keep the blood out of our vegetables and to control the size of the pieces. You know, sometimes you want them thicker and sometimes thinner, and it's the claw grip that makes it happen. Let's start by learning to hold the knife with a pinch grip. See how I'm pinching the blade with my thumb and index finger and wrapping my third, fourth, and fifth fingers around the handle. This gives you a lot more control and stability than just holding it by the handle or placing the index finger on top. With the pinch grip, the knife becomes the extension of your hand. You never want the knife to jump around your board. You want it to rock. Lift the back of the knife and glide it forward on your board. If you just touch the knife to the board like this, your pieces might not separate completely and the herbs will get bruised. So make sure the knife makes full contact with the board and then push it away. Here is what it looks like with a vegetable. Now let's talk about that guiding hand. Its purpose is to hold the vegetable in place and to position the blade of the knife so that you get even pieces. It will need to get very close and personal with the knife. And to do that safely, you need to use a claw grip. A ball, or anything round really, helps with this. I like onions, lemons, or limes because they come in so many different sizes. You see, this one is too little for me, but this one feels good. See how all my fingertips are tucked in and these knuckles are up? This is the shape you want your hand to be all the time when you're chopping. Anytime one of your fingertips decides to leave the ball, bad things happen, so don't let your fingers do that. Now stick your elbow out so that your guiding hand meets the knife head on, with the knuckles of your second and third fingers, that's the first knuckles after the nails, glued to the blade of your knife in the widest part, like this. The reason you want to be here is because you'll need to lift your knife very little, versus here, where you'll need to lift your knife a lot. Not only is it slower, but more dangerous because you might nick your knuckles. You don't have that much blade to place them here, so move that vegetable back toward the handle of the knife. Now let's talk about what moves, the knife or the vegetable. It's always the knife. The knife pushes against the knuckles of the guiding hand, and the guiding hand gradually moves back on the vegetable, and the knife follows it. That's the whole reason we attach the knife to the guiding hand. If you don't learn to move your claw grip and rely on moving the vegetable, you'll have a very hard time with dicing, because all those vegetable sticks don't want to move together. If I give my knife a lot of pushback and don't move my claw grip back, I'll get paper-thin pieces. If I make my claw grip hand make tiny little hops back, I'll get bigger pieces. The longer the hops, the bigger the pieces. Some people describe the motion of the claw grip as crawling back. You can call it whatever you want in your head. Crawling, hopping, in reality, both of those are just analogies because this motion is really, really minuscule, even for big pieces. In the video, I'm exaggerating the hopping a bit because otherwise this motion is so small, it's hard to notice. In the early days, you might have a hard time moving the knife hand and the claw grip hand at the same time. But you can always let them take turns. Cut, move, cut, move. And eventually your hands will learn to work together. When you're holding a small vegetable, gather all your claw grip fingers into a single point, like this. By the way, don't move each piece to the side as you slice. It's both inefficient and bad for the edge of your knife. Just let the pieces accumulate on your blade. The new pieces will push the old ones off. And once in a while, stop and swipe them off your knife. To move the pieces off your board, use the back of the knife so that you don't damage the edge. People often complain that when they use this hand positioning, they can't see what they're doing. You do need to see the pieces coming out so that you can adjust how much you move your guiding hand. But you don't need to see the actual slicing action. If you rely on your eyes to tell you where to place the knife, you'll never be able to get really small pieces, and you'll never be able to pick up speed. By the time your eyes deliver the signal to your brain, and your brain delivers the signal to your hand, you already cut yourself. So you need to learn to feel the knife, not see the knife. Here are some common mistakes that I see with claw grip in my classes. Using knuckles to hold the vegetable. I realize you're trying to hide your fingertips, but holding things with knuckles is extremely awkward, so hold your vegetable with fingertips. Flat claw grip. Very tense. You won't last long in this position. Try putting a ball under your hand again to remind you what a claw grip should feel like. Raise the wrist. Gets tiring very quickly. Lower that wrist and relax your shoulder. Elbow against your body. This leaves your thumb completely exposed to the knife. So stick out your elbow to hide your thumb. Yes, I know it's awkward in the beginning, but it's not as awkward as a bleeding thumb. So that was the theory of claw grip. Unfortunately, it will be completely useless unless you do some drills to get all this theory into your muscle memory. The biggest mistake home cooks make with learning knife skills is trying to incorporate them into their cooking. Normal home cooking requires 1 carrot, 1 onion, 1 celery stick. You get the idea. You can't learn this stuff if you switch vegetables every 2 minutes. You need to do a lot of the same vegetable. I know, you expect me to tell you that you should chop a mountain of onions, just like Meryl Streep did in the Julia movie, right? Well, actually, I think that would be silly and counterproductive. Under no circumstances should you start with onions. Claw grip is hard enough without your eyes burning. You should also stay away from sweet potatoes, very thick carrots, or other super hard, like firm vegetables until you are very comfortable with the claw grip. Celery, zucchini, and cucumbers are great vegetables for beginners. Please stop worrying what you'll do with all these veggies. If you want to eat them or cook with them, well, fine. But if not, then throw them away, compost them, whatever, to make them last longer and to make your early practice as comfortable as possible. Cut them lengthwise into many sticks and do each stick separately. We are not after efficiency here. We are after learning the right technique. Set a timer for 20 minutes and get to work. Try really thin pieces and thicker pieces, but do that deliberately. Decide what size pieces you want to get and keep chopping until you get what you were looking for. Once you're completely comfortable with 1 stick, try 2 and then 3 at a time. Oh, and please do it slowly. If your pieces aren't perfectly even, that means you need to slow down. Speed will come with time. Don't push it. If you can master 1 vegetable, the second vegetable will take almost no time to learn. After you master soft vegetables like celery, zucchini, and cucumber, try harder vegetables like carrots. Onions should be last, and by the time you get to them, you should be so good with your claw grip that 1 or 2 onions should be plenty. Oh, and be deliberate about your practice. Pick a week when you are going to master claw grip and try to do 3 20-minute drills in 1 week. Once you get it, you no longer need the knife skills drills. Your regular cooking will be plenty to keep you in good shape. How long does it take for the claw grip to feel good? That really depends on your manual dexterity. I've seen people get it in as little as 1 hour. That's usually the people who play musical instruments. But for most people, I'd say it takes around 3 hours. But that's really not that bad. I mean, suppose you wanted to get in shape. Would 3 hours in the gym even make a dent in your fitness level? Nope. But 3 hours of knife skills drills can completely change your life in the kitchen. So what are you waiting for? Go find some celery and practice. Of course, there is this tiny little problem of needing a sharp knife. If your knives are in horrible shape, check out the link below this video for all my knife tutorials, how to hone them, how to sharpen them, and much, much more. Here are some more knife skills videos for you to check out. And if you are ever in the Boston area, maybe I'll see you in one of my classes.